Alright, I'm going to be refuting Zach's speech on immortality. So his main claim was that immortality would better our society, and his secondary claims were that education and research would improve as a result, that we would be able to experience more of the world, and that communication would be better. But the whole first part of his speech basically spent on explaining, not a claim, but how mind, process of immortality works, and this process is called mind uploading. So I have, well, he didn't cite any evidence, he didn't cite, evidence from experts or anything like that, but I do have evidence that it wouldn't be in the near future. That so according to this, it's called the Blue Brain Project, and basically it's a group of biologists who are researching, working with computer engineers on trying to make computer simulations of the brains of mammals, including the brain of man. And according to and this is on their main website, they say that it will be very difficult, and they're talking about being able to create a computer simulation, which is the basis of mind uploading. It will be very difficult because in the brain, every molecule is a powerful computer, and we would need to simulate the structure and function of trillions upon trillions of molecules, as well as all the rules that govern how they interact. You will literally need computers that are trillions of times bigger and faster than anything existing today. So basically, this whole immortality process of mind uploading really isn't in the near future, so it's not very realistic. Now, the main problem actually with Zach's speech was the fact that his secondary claims don't support his primary claim. The primary claim is that immortality would better our society, and he's basically, with his secondary claims, proving that mind uploading has technological and undeniable benefits. So, for example, he's making a big generalization. In his first part of the speech on education and research, he says that if the consciousness of the scientist were to live in a supercomputer dedicated solely to running its brain program simulator, then it would be able to think and manipulate data in accelerated time. Right. So obviously that would improve research, since you'd be able to think and manipulate data quicker. But then he goes on and says that it would spawn a singularity which would lead to a perfect society. How, it's kind of hard to see how we got from this benefit in research to it leads to a perfect society. That's basically the problem with this speech. I definitely agree with him that on the fact that mind uploading would allow us to experience more of the world, would improve, the speed of education and research, and improve communication. But that's not showing me that that makes the society better. Now, on the other hand, I have a list of claims that prove that immortality, and it's in particular this mind uploading type of immortality, would actually be detrimental for society. So, at one point he says that education would be kind of sped up, just like a computer where you can copy paste information. They would be able to kind of copy paste information to our brains, and we would be able to get a college degree in a matter of minutes. But what happens to individuality? If everybody has access to this type of education, everybody's going to be exactly similar. Everybody's going to have the same knowledge, and there's no work for this gain in education. What happens to the quest for knowledge, right? So that's the problem with this main problem with mind uploading education. There are also a bunch of there's also important religious implications. If you can live forever, if you can live forever, obviously you can't die and you can't go and move on to afterlife. And obviously you're living longer than God, or the God decided that you should live, the lifespan that you've been given originally. So there's tremendous religious implications. Now another problem with immortality is overpopulation. For example, this I took from the United Nations website. According to so apparently population has quadrupled in the last century, and life expectancy has, and longevity has increased by 50%. So that means that if we could live forever, obviously overpopulation can explode, which leads to water problems, and that's definitely not good for society. The other problem is the access to technology. Obviously, to have access to this technology, to be able to, be immortal, you would need money. Just like, all the good doctors and all that come from, you have to pay a lot of money for them. It's always, so there'd be a lot of problems with that. Maybe the people with less money wouldn't be able to become immortal. Cause a lot of problems. So in conclusion, basically the main problem with the advocate speech is that there's no support, really. It doesn't support the fact that immortality would better society, but rather that, mind uploading provides undeniable benefits.
All right, the labeling on the claims are pretty clear. I like the discussion of mind uploading and its speculative likelihood. There's a good argument here about how it's not really something more than just a theory at the moment, and in fact it may render the discussion at this point unnecessary. It's something that's not really argumentative because it is so speculative, and I think that's a point that you needed to make. Your analysis about the relevance of the supporting points was also pretty good. I did appreciate the challenge that you made about the singularity, the absence of proof on that. I thought that was pretty clear. When you present the counterclaims on immortality, on a couple of them you raised some good questions. I think you could use a little bit more evidence on some of those points like you had on the earlier points. One of the things that I would imagine if we were hearing further discussion on this, for instance, on the religious implications or overpopulation, is that if their brains just uploaded, that we don't really have to worry about the ramifications of overpopulation, for instance, because we're not consuming food, we're not breeding at that point, those kinds of issues. But it's a perfectly valid point, and I did see the argument that you're talking about, that really the claim that's being supported by the secondary points is what the potential advantages would be of this mind uploading, not really on immortality. Do you have an outline? Thank you. Diego.